For our project, we chose to analyze the use of satire and its effects in the play The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. We will be analyzing 4 of the humor techniques that Wilde uses: caricature, incongruity, verbal irony, and dramatic irony. The character of Lady Bracknell is largely exaggerated with her snobbiness, richness, and big-headedness towards others, particularly to Jack and his family. Her over-the-top reactions to things such as Jack's history and her contrasting views on Cecily after discovering her worth exemplify this attitude further. She believes herself to be above all others, and Wilde makes sure that the audience sees that. A good comparison to Lady Bracknell would be Umbridge from Harry Potter, as both think of themselves as so high and mighty that they make sure everyone knows it by voicing their opinions loud and clear. She pinpoints every little thing that she does not agree with while also displaying rudeness from these facts. After Cecily and Gwendolen realize the 2 men have been lying to them the entire time, Algernon and Jack are left alone, to which they begin eating muffins and fighting over them. Their reaction to this situation is so absurd it's comical, exemplifying the 2 men's shortcomings as they trivialize the seriousness of their situation by focusing on trivial matters like muffins. Through this, Wilde is able to portray the shallow and hypocritical nature of the 2 men as their actions do not match their earlier declarations of love for Cecily and Gwendolen.
After Gwendolen's quick reaction to judge Cecily as an honest and sweet person, saying that she likes Cecily and believes that they will be good friends, at the immediate reveal that both are engaged to Ernest, the reactions switch from sweet friends to rivals, and they end up yelling at one another. The quick switch of news is ironic in that they had been incorrect in the first beliefs and jumped to conclusions. Also stating that Gwendolen was never wrong shows irony, since later in the switch reveals that yes, she was wrong. Both Gwendolen and Cecily yearn to have a husband called Ernest. They both place emphasis on such a trivial matter as a name. When Jack attempts to tell Gwendolen that his name is really Jack and not Ernest, she replies by saying, "Jack." No, there is very little music in the name Jack, if any at all, indeed. The only really safe name is Ernest. Wilde deliberately uses farce in the play to exaggerate the mind frame of the upper class. It is seen here that Gwendolen loves Jack, but she places greater importance on silly, superficial, and trivial matters such as a name, something a person has no control over. Similarly, Cecily also dreams of loving someone called Ernest. She clearly states to Algernon, "There is something in that name that seems to inspire absolute confidence. I pity any poor married woman whose husband is not called Ernest."
Wilde's caricature of Lady Bracknell immediately sets a silly mocking tone in the play, which is reinforced by his use of other satirical devices. The use of incongruity also presents a mocking tone and lightens the overall mood of the play. In scenes which would typically be considered extremely emotional, such as when Jack discovers his origins, Wilde's emphasis of Miss Prism's handbag over Jack's discovery of his ancestry changes what should be a touching scene to a humorous one. Earlier in the play, Wilde's use of situational irony when Gwendolen and Cecily claim that they can never love a man who is not named Ernest creates a feeling of light apprehension in the reader as they wonder how they will react when they discover the truth. These effects of satire combine to portray Wilde's view of the upper class as shallow and hypocritical.
Wilde targets the upper class by criticizing the hypocrisy that society creates. In Victorian times, higher class was often represented themselves as extremely sincere and polite, while in truth being manipulative and have cruel attitudes. This is exposed in scenes such as when Gwendolen and Cecily behave themselves in front of the servants, or when Lady Bracknell warms to Cecily upon discovering she is rich. However, the play truly pivots around the word Ernest. Both women want to marry someone named Ernest, as the name inspires absolute confidence. In other words, the name implies that the bearer is earnest, honest, and responsible.
Oscar Wilde casually pokes fun at the hypocrisy of the upper classes, using satire to convey his opinion of the aristocracy as trivial and foolish. He was likely writing as a reflection of what he experienced as a new member of the upper classes at the time of the publishing of the play. Wilde comments on their insincerity and their focus on trivial matters such as names. His use of caricature, through Lady Bracknell, clearly defines his view of the upper classes, while his use of incongruity, situational irony, and verbal irony help describe the hypocrisy and triviality of what he sees.
Created using Powtoon.